Check for sound. Check for power.
All systems online.
Yo, guys, what's up? It's Loper. I'm back from Austin, and let me tell you something. I just want to start the show with this. If you haven't been to Austin, it's a must. I mean, one of the coolest American cities, lived up to all the hype. I had big expectations when going there, not just entertainment value. I actually went for a radio conference called Morning Show Boot Camp, put on by an old friend of mine in the radio business. His name is Don Anthony. So shout out to Don Anthony for putting on another killer event. But as far as Austin as a city goes, what an amazing experience. First of all, I get picked up at the airport, right? And it's not a regular Uber. It's a Waymo. Have you guys been in a Waymo? These are the driverless cars. So literally, like when you walk up to one of these cars, you have to unlock it with the Uber app. And then the door opens, you get in, and where the infotainment center is, it says like, "Welcome, Loper." And then you hit a button that says "Start Ride." And literally the wheel starts spinning and you take off in the passenger seat, or I guess if you wanted to, you could sit in the back seat. And here you go down the road. And you're like, I am living in the fucking future in Austin right now. It was pretty cool. So, I mean, if they don't have these in the cities near you, I know we don't have them in Nashville or when I'm in Columbus or South Florida yet, but I know a couple of my buddies that were there, David Mahoney from Phoenix. Shout out to those guys, man. So good to meet those guys in person finally. But they were saying that they had them everywhere out there too. So literally you're driving down the road and just zoom, a car goes by and there's no one in it. You're like, what the Jetsons is happening here right now? And the food scene. First of all, I had some of the best fried chicken I've ever had at this place called Gus's. If you go, that's a must for sure. I actually even had some raw oysters that were really amazing there too. A couple of steaks. I mean, I felt like I ate like a king the entire time I was there. The food scene is everything you think it's going to be. Austin has kind of gotten to be a music / comedy / nightlife capital of the South, and really did not disappoint. I hooked up with my buddy Brian Redband, who is from Columbus, Ohio, who is the co-host of Kill Tony. And I was going to go to his secret show. So there's obviously the Mothership, the comedy Mothership, which is owned by Joe Rogan. And right next to that, kind of down the street, is this place called the Sunset Strip Comedy Club. And so Red Band is the co-owner of that. And then he does on Thursdays special invites from the Kill Tony show. So if somebody goes up on Kill Tony on Monday at the Mothership and they kill, they get invited to the secret show. So I was going to go to that, but I had dinner with my agent and things kind of ran over with some other people in the industry, and I just didn't get a chance to get to the secret show. But I met up with Red Band and some of the other comics from Kill Tony afterwards, and we went to this really cool Irish pub called Bulls. And if you go to Austin, you got to check this place out. Definitely a hole in the wall, but one of those hole in the walls where you're like, oh, this is dope. This is cool. And I just had a great time with those guys, and actually ended up the next night, another friend of mine, Brian Callen from the Fighter and the Kid podcast, he was playing at the Mothership, because now, I mean, every comic, it seems like, that was a regular at the Comedy Store in LA, almost everyone's moved to Austin. And so Brian Callen was playing, so I called up Callen and I was like, dude, you got to get me on the list. I got to come to the Mothership while I'm in Austin. So he was so kind to do that. And literally with a minute to spare, me and my driverless car, we pull up and I hop out and make Callen set. But it's definitely worth mentioning, when you walk into the Mothership, Rogan's got like Navy SEALs working at the door. I mean, these cops it's a little more than regular police officers. I'm telling you, like, everybody's jacked, just looking like, they're ready for something. But, listen, when you go in, you kind of feel like the most safe that you're going to feel anywhere in Austin. The interesting thing about the Mothership that I really liked was they implement the Yonder bag. And if you don't know what that is, that's the little pouch that you get at certain shows. I know like Maynard from Tool is a big advocate of it, but like Dave Chappelle was really one of the first people to implement Yonder bags at his show. But the entire Mothership, you can't walk in with your cell phone out of the bag. Now, if you've got kids or something, you have to call the kids. You got to walk back down to the lobby. They open it up for you. You're allowed to use it right there. And then you got to lock it back up and take it with you. Or, I guess the other option would be to leave it in the hotel or the car or something like that. But yeah, I 30 seconds into it, I was like, oh, this is so much better. You have those instincts, like when I walked in, of course, being there and seeing it on YouTube so many times, and you want to think, oh, I want to take a picture of this. I want to get it, there's that comic. I want to get a picture with that guy or like whatever. But that feeling fades like really quick, and you just remember what it's like to actually be in the moment at the show. And there's just something so beautiful when there's a presentation of art of any kind, whether it's comedy, acting, whether it's music, especially. You don't have that phone as a distraction. And more importantly, you don't have the idiot in front of you who's, they got to, record the entire show, especially at concerts. It's just gotten so bad. And it was just such a relief to not have that going on. So I got to see a couple of the different regulars there at the Mothership. And if you make it to Austin, that, number one, first and foremost, is something you absolutely have to do. The rest of the time that I was there, I checked out their entertainment district, like where it's sort of like Nashville in Broadway. Not quite Nashville, but I mean, they have some serious nightlife if that's what you're looking for going on there. I was kind of in and out of that scene, but yeah, I mean, just walking around the city, very walkable. I've heard like from a lot of people that Austin's not so safe. Felt safe the whole time. I don't know. But the conference I was at is called Morning Show Boot Camp, and it's for morning radio hosts. A lot of the executives of the radio company show up, all the different companies out there, from Odyssey to iHeartRadio to Hubbard. I mean, you name it, everyone is there. And a lot of the personalities that I know from around the country, and I just kind of want to give a couple of people some, just some love right now on the show. Man, like I said, David Mahoney. It was two guys that I've known in the industry for years and never actually got to meet in person. And that was kind of like one of the most special things, is seeing some of these people that you just kind of know from online. And I think we're all guilty of that at times, like where you're like, oh, I know that guy, but you're like, wait a second, I've never actually really met that person. And then when you do, it's just, there's just something magical about it. Some of the people that I got to meet for the first time, Bootleg Kev from LA. He does a big radio show out there for iHeart. My buddy Kevin Ralston from West Palm Beach, who I had the distinct pleasure of competing against for years, who really iron sharpens iron. And that guy, competing against him made me so much better on the radio. And I ran into one of my radio legendary heroes. I don't even know what you would say. Inspiration, a mentor, Paul Castronovo from Big 105.9 in Miami. We worked together at a station called Zeta there in Miami, and got to have dinner with him one night. The guy's just a fucking legend, and it was so cool to be back around him and so many other of my friends. My buddy Trevor that I met out there from the Jim Kerr show. Steve Reynolds was there. I mean, Miguel and Holly, what's up to those guys? And, so many people. I don't want to leave anybody out. Oh, and I met a lovely lady who hosted the women's brunch on Saturday, Corey Dillon, and she was super cool. Just everybody out there. It was just such a love fest. If you want me to be honest about it, just a bunch of people that love radio and the entertainment industry, and everybody out there getting to collab like that. When that many people with that much talent, they get together, there's just something magical that happens. And that's exactly what happened for the last couple of days with me. And I can't say enough nice things about Austin and all the people that I saw. Once again, shout out to Don Anthony from the Morning Mouth. What a great job you do with that. And I can't wait to see you guys next year at Morning Show Boot Camp. One of the people that I met out there at Morning Show Boot Camp, do you guys remember Young Jock? It's going down. The rapper. So he does radio now. How about Young Jock might be one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. Super cool guy. Just, right off the cuff, hit it off, hung out. Guy was just super rad, man. And it was really great to meet him. That was kind of unexpected. I didn't really think he was going to be there, but that was one of the cooler aspects of the whole weekend for me. So. And you guys know the Loper Show brought to you by Shaker's Public House. They're at 480 East Wilson Bridge Road in Worthington, Ohio. Some of the most juicy, delicious chicken wings you will ever have. The smash burger is so over the top and delicious. You guys, trust me. The new sponsor of the show, Shaker's Public House. You got to get there. You got to check them out.
Hear that? That's not just any siren. It's the sound of Wing Wednesday at Shaker's Public House. Every Wednesday, when the siren hits, the dollar wings drop. All day, no limits, just flavor. And don't miss Power Hour every single day from 5 to 6 p.m. Drafts, domestic beers, well liquor, and wine, just $1. When the siren sounds, you know where to go. Shaker's Public House, where happy hour hits hard and the wings hit harder.
Yo, so literally breaking news right now. I just saw this. The UFC has agreed to new streaming rights, like the last 5-6 years with ESPN and ESPN Plus on their app. Well, it looks like they will be moving, and the UFC exclusive broadcast rights will be with the Paramount Network. So you're going to be able to get everything on Paramount coming up very soon. It begins, I guess, right around January of 26. So they'll finish out the year with ESPN, and all UFC events will stream on Paramount Plus, with select events airing on CBS, actual network CBS. So that's a big change for the UFC. It's a 7-year, $7.7 billion exclusive U.S. media rights deal. Now, what that means is that's where you're going to stream it if you live in the United States. Most likely, if you're watching this, you live in the U.S. Now, we do have some international listeners and viewers out there who I definitely appreciate. I mean, I see you pop up from all over Europe and different parts of the world, and I truly appreciate that. But you're going to be able to enjoy the UFC, but in the U.S., it will be an exclusive deal with the Paramount Network. As this super hot summer rolls on, guys, I mean, God, out in Austin, it was so hot out there. I mean, like every day, it was over 100 degrees for sure, and it felt like way over 100 degrees. One of the last nights of Morning Show Boot Camp, we had a party on a rooftop. And it was beautiful. In theory, it was amazing, right? But when you're up there and they have like a covering over the roof, and it just was trapping the heat in there. And I mean, it was so humid and just sticky. But at the same time, the views were absolutely beautiful. And I mean, they had cold drinks, so that was nice. But I mean, the heat in Austin, I mean, get ready for it if you go out there. Well, this is really interesting. So there's been speculation on the dollar amount that Back to the Beginning, the event that Ozzy did right before his death, 2 weeks before that. There's been some speculation about how much money that event made. And there's been some claims out there of some like out of control dollars in the range of like $190 million. And Sharon Osbourne has came out and shot all of that down. She's like, that's not true at all. She's like, first of all, there's a lot of expenses behind the scenes that go on that have to do with the Back to the Beginning. So, all of the bands that played, everyone played for free because it was for charity, right? At the same time, you got to take into consideration of routing these bands, getting their equipment there, getting the plane tickets, getting, accommodations, obviously not everybody living in Birmingham, England. So there was a lot that went into it as far as, cast and crew and all of that stuff. Like I said, none of the musicians took a paycheck, but bands like Metallica, I'm sure, could come out of their own pocket for that stuff. All of that is very normal for an event like this. So she said it probably won't be until like a few months down the road that we will actually know the real number of what this pulled in. And of course, they gave all of the money to charity. It went to the to cure Parkinson's disease there in Birmingham at the Children's Hospital and the Acorn Children's Hospice, which, I mean, God bless the Osbournes. What a great, great event they put on. And no matter what the dollar amount is, it's going to be extraordinary and probably really change things for that charity. But yeah, Sharon saying the deal of $190 million is absolutely not true. Speaking of big money deals, the Howard Stern rumors are out there right now. People are speculating that Howard Stern may or may not continue with Sirius XM Radio. And I've heard so many different things. I don't think anybody really knows. Here's what I do know is that Howard does this every negotiation he has. He's very public with the negotiations, which the executives at radio and broadcast companies and, in Sirius satellite radio, I'm sure the same thing. They hate that. They absolutely cannot stand when the talent does that. But that's exactly why he does that, is to get under their skin, to try to make a deal, to try to give them pressure. And there's some speculation that he may just sell the library to SiriusXM and actually move his show somewhere. Like, this could be crazy, but like HBO Max, I've heard. Netflix is another one, YouTube. So we'll keep following that story, but the king of all media might not be broadcasting from his home of 20 plus years at SiriusXM. So we were talking about the Yonder bags and having to put your phone away at shows. And I mentioned Maynard James Keenan. Well, he is on that tip for the rest of the tour. So if you have tickets to go see Tool anytime in the next couple of months, you are not going to be able to bring your phone. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I truly think that is such a better way to do it. The first experience I had with that was here during the pandemic outside of Columbus, Ohio, in a cool place called Yellow Springs, Ohio. It's just outside of Dayton, and that's where Dave Chappelle lives. And so during the pandemic, literally the only shows, music, comedy, what have you, the only show that was going on was Dave Chappelle's summer camp. And, this is where you would buy tickets and the events would get announced, and he would do 6, 7, 8 events in a row. And the coolest thing in the world was you would buy the tickets and then you would not know who was going to be there. And I know what you're saying. You're going, Loper. Well, I mean, what if I hate the comics that are there? Trust me, it's Dave Chappelle. You're not going to hate the comics. I mean, there were huge names. David Letterman was there one night. Everybody from Donnell Rollins to Kevin Hart to Chris Rock was there. I mean, it was really a who's who of comics and just a real experience. But that was the first time I had ever had to go in and surrender my phone. So in that occasion, I just left it in the truck. Because I was like, what are you just going to carry it around in a bag? Who cares? So I just left it in the truck. And I went in, and it just made everything, like I said earlier, just so much better. And that's going to go forward with Tool. So if you're going to see Maynard James Keenan and Tool, or really any of his bands, he is not going to allow you to have your cell phone in there. If not, you're going to have to put it inside the Yonder bag. Yo, did you guys see the footage of Vince Neil? So Vince Neil made his onstage return after almost a year being off. We all knew he was suffering from medical issues. Motley Crue here in just a couple of weeks are about to start their residency out in Vegas, which, God, if it happens, I really want to go. It was interesting. So he returns to the stage and he openly announces that he had a medical issue going on. Now, I'm not going to say this, but this is what other people are saying on the internet. And this is people that were actually there. They were saying that, one side of his face kind of looked a little different, hinting that possibly he had a stroke.
I'm coming out tonight. Because you know what? I've done a couple of shows, and I just wanted to let you guys know that, I had a medical thing happen a few months ago. The doctor told me, you're probably never going to go on stage again. And I said, I looked at him and I go, fuck you, man. This is what I do. This is what I love to do. Is you people out here make me want to come back and see it time and time and time again. So, thank you. I love you guys.
All he said on stage was that he had a medical procedure that he had to get through, and he was on the other side, and the doctors told him that he would never perform again. And he was like, F you, I'm glad to be here. But if you've seen any footage, and I'm going to put some here in the side-by-side shot so you guys can kind of see, but yeah, definitely, I'll provide the audio too. But I mean, it is not good. It's not good. I mean, it's awesome that Vince made it back to the stage, and I'm really happy for him. When you fight back from something like that, it's got to be incredibly difficult to lose your livelihood and what you do and not be able to perform, especially if you are an entertainer of any kind. Like if I couldn't do the radio show, I mean, this would absolutely break my heart. So I understand what he's saying when he says that, but his movements, his ability to just not even know what the lyrics were. He was literally looking down at this projector, reading the lyrics to songs like Girls, 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 which, I mean, he's done that song a few times. Just saying, right? You would think you would know the lyrics by heart, but that wasn't even the worst part. So there's backup singers now because Vince, like a lot of other aging rock stars, have a hard time hitting those notes, and he set quite a precedent when recording those records. Like his voice hits an incredible falsetto in some of those songs. So they have backup singers. This particular video is focused only on Vince, and you realize how much he's not actually singing. I mean, he'll do a couple of bars, and then he's just not singing. You hear the backup singers all of a sudden. And like I said, his lethargic nature of him just standing there and not really being the Vince Neil that we know, running around the stage. And, and listen, if whatever the medical procedure was, maybe that has prevented him from doing so. But I'm not here to rag on him. I'm just saying I was shocked. And I will be shocked. You can take my word for this. And I don't have any inside information about this. I'm just speculating. I don't see how this Vegas residency can go on. I don't know that. I just don't know who's paying for this. When you break it down at the end of the day, yeah, John 5, you got Nikki 6, you got Tommy Lee. And then, of course, the backup singers that they hire are top notch, best in the business, right? But when you don't have a lead singer who is convincingly out there night after night killing it in something like a Vegas residency, I just don't know how this can go on. Now, surprisingly, there's been no cancellations. So as far as I know, they're going on with the event, which, like I said, I after seeing the video of Vince make his return in New York, it was just, I believe, in upstate New York. It was a show with Bret Michaels, actually, the two of them solo, not with Poison and Motley Crue. I was shocked. And I will be shocked going forward if Motley Crue does this Vegas residency. If they do, and Vince can get it together and it's not like that show. And listen, it could be one of those things where he is making his recovery. Perhaps he went out too early and he's got to get stronger on stage. And maybe in the weeks coming, that will happen. And Motley Crue can go forward and everybody can go to Vegas and we can all see the Crue one last time. But I will be stunned if I'm sitting in Vegas watching Motley Crue with Vince Neil. Now, the question that this begs is, would Motley Crue actually move on without Vince Neil? Not saying, like they would just boot him out of the band, but, let's just suppose there's a world where he just can't do it. Does Motley Crue move on? And here's a better question, and you guys can leave this in the comments. Would you want to see a Motley Crue without Vince Neil? My answer would be, it depends on who it is. You get somebody in there, like first name that comes to mind, Sebastian Bach from like Skid Row, right? Somebody from the era, somebody that looks the part, but more importantly, somebody who can sing those songs. Because here's the real story, is Sebastian Bach can still get up there and kill it. I've seen him solo, obviously not with Skid Row anymore, but when he's out there doing the damn thing, I mean, that could be the best possible solution to replace Vince Neil if they were going to do that. And like I said, that's a lot of speculation, but it would be interesting. So like I said, in the comments below, tell me, would you want to see a Vince Neil-less Motley Crue? So Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse is at it again. He's got a new video with Hardy, who's a country artist. Being all over Nashville, I've seen Hardy collab with a bunch of different artists, namely Nickelback, a few years ago, which they actually had a great song. Hardy actually has a few what you would probably consider hard rock songs that he puts out just under his name as well, and they're not bad at all. I mean, they're actually really good. It's just interesting because he does do like traditional country. I mean, when you hear his voice, he sounds like a country artist, definitely with the twang and all. But the collab with Falling in Reverse and Jelly Roll still had a rock flavor to it. This song definitely is way more country than it is rock and roll, and it's called All My Women, and it features, well, Ronnie Radke on vocals, but a Muppet that they're calling Donnie Radke, which is friggin' hilarious. And they actually go to mock Tommy Lee's girlfriend, or I guess wife, Brittany Furlan, who we've talked about on this show. Had a huge catfish issue with Ronnie Radke where she was speaking to somebody online, thought it was Ronnie Radke, almost caused a divorce between her and Tommy Lee. It turned out not to be Ronnie Radke. And Ronnie was saying it the whole time. It's definitely not me. It's definitely not me. And he won't let it go. He's not letting this one go, guys. In true Ronnie Radke fashion, he is trolling her in the video. So if you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below, but it's definitely worth checking out. And if you like those collabs, I think you're going to really like this. If you hate the song that Falling in Reverse has with Jelly Roll, you're probably going to really hate this song. But it's called All My Women, and you guys check it out and tell me what you think. Speaking of Jelly Roll, did you see him at SummerSlam? I couldn't believe what my dude was doing. Had a full-on match where he's teamed with Randy Orton against Logan Paul. And Logan Paul and Jelly Roll developed this feud over the last month or so. And Logan Paul ended up frog splashing Jelly Roll through a table at SummerSlam. I mean, it was wild, guys. But if you are a fan of the WWE, we were talking about the UFC moving to Paramount Plus coming up in 2026. Well, it's the same company that owns WWE that owns the UFC now, and that's called TKO is the parent company. And it's official. They have made a deal, and their broadcast rights will now be with, are you ready? ESPN and ESPN Plus. There will still be a show, I believe, that they're going to do on the USA Network as well, and they'll do Raw on Netflix, but all of the pay-per-views, or PLEs as they call them now, will all be on the ESPN Plus app. So kind of interesting as the UFC shifts away from ESPN, and then the WWE comes in. And I'm not a hater. You know, of course, everybody knows I'm pretty deep in the MMA world. But it kind of shocks me that the Real Sports Network doesn't make a deal with the UFC, but instead with the entertainment company, WWE. And then the UFC moves to Paramount Plus and CBS Network broadcast. It's just kind of weird to me. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And speaking of the UFC, you can check me out this Saturday night starting at 10 o'clock at Vanity, Columbus, Ohio, UFC 319, Duplessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, this is going to be an incredible fight. I think, Duplessis coming in as the champion. Can Duplessis get it done with Khamzat Chimaev? The takedowns, the actual wrestling of Khamzat. If I'm going to say that anybody can actually hang, Duplessis really has the skill set to get it done. The thing that I'm the most worried about is Khamzat Chimaev literally hasn't left his house for the last month because he's afraid of getting sick. He's got a terrible background with canceling fights, getting injured, having things happen to him, actually getting ill and having to pull out of fights. So Khamzat Chimaev literally has locked himself into his house for the last month and is only training exclusively out of his house. And the thing that really makes me kind of wonder what's going to happen is Khamzat Chimaev is the favorite going into this fight. And I think most people are going to pick him on their bingo card if you're betting on the fight this weekend. If he wins, though, how good is that for the sport? You're talking about a guy who's pulled out of so many fights. This could be one of those champions that we only see perform and fight once a year, which nobody wants that. Everybody wants to see the champ fight, 2. If you can fight 3 times, that would be amazing. But you want to see the belt actually get defended. You don't want to see the middleweight championship held up by somebody who can't make weight, who can't make it to the fight. And this is no, diss session on Khamzat Chimaev, but that really does worry me going into UFC 319 on what could happen with the UFC middleweight championship of the world. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. But if you want to come watch with me live, I will be at Vanity where they have all kinds of specials that night. It's going to be awesome. You guys are going to love it. Come out, hang with me, and we'll do it, man. Right at Bethel and Sawmill Road, Vanity. Hope you guys can make it. Once again, today's episode brought to you by Shaker's Public House. You can find them on East Wilson Bridge Road, right there in Worthington, Ohio, where, they have all kinds of specials. They are the winner of the best beer selection in Columbus. That's pretty sick. They have Power Hour 7 days a week, which is from 5 to 6, where you'll get your drafts, your well liquors, your wines, your domestic bottles for only $1. The Power Hour, guys, if you want to get some drinks after work, that's probably the place you want to be if you're watching this and you're in the Columbus area. Worthington, Shaker's Public House. Thanks for sponsoring the Loper Show.
Hear that? That's not just any siren. It's the sound of Wing Wednesday at Shaker's Public House. Every Wednesday, when the siren hits, the dollar wings drop. All day, no limits, just flavor. And don't miss Power Hour every single day from 5 to 6 p.m. Drafts, domestic beers, well liquor, and wine, just $1. When the siren sounds, you know where to go. Shaker's Public House, where happy hour hits hard and the wings hit harder.
Well, hey, thanks for watching this episode. I really appreciate you guys supporting the show. Shout out to everybody that I met in Austin this weekend. Had such a killer time. Thanks to everybody at the Comedy Mothership for having me out. And for you guys, each and every week, right here, hitting that like button, making sure you subscribe, and supporting the show. I'll see you guys next week.